There was once a tortoise named Olden who lived at the edge of a meadow. The meadow wasn't particularly special. The grass was ordinary, green enough in spring and yellow enough in summer. There were no remarkable flowers or rare trees, just a few bushes and a small pond that stayed muddy most of the year. Olden didn't mind. He wasn't one for much excitement. Olden's shell was not bright or beautifully patterned. It was dull brown with a few scratches from old days when he had to push through thorny weeds. His eyes were slow-moving, and so was he. Every morning, he came out of his burrow, looked around at the same familiar landscape, and sighed a little before beginning his day. He wasn't unhappy. He simply lived without much fuss. He ate some leaves, drank a bit of water, and took long naps under the same tree near the pond. The other animals in the meadow often found him too quiet to talk to for long. They liked noise and activity. Olden did not. One morning, while Olden was halfway through a particularly dry leaf, a rabbit named Lively hopped over. "Olden," said Lively, "you should come with me to the other side of the meadow. The grass is taller, and the clover is thick and sweet. You'll like it there." Olden chewed slowly. "I like this side well enough," he replied. "But this side is dull," said Lively. "Don't you ever want to see new places?" "I've seen them before," Olden said. "They are much like this one." Lively frowned. "You miss a lot by sitting in the same patch every day." "Perhaps," said Olden, "but I gained something two-piece." The rabbit twitched his ears, not convinced, and bounced away. Later that day, a magpie swooped down, gleaming black and white under the sun. She landed beside Olden and pecked at the ground. "You should move your burrow closer to the trees," she said. "More insects there, more shade too." "I have shade here," Olden replied, "but not enough shade, and the ground there is softer. You could dig easier." "I have dug enough," said Olden. "My burrow suits me." The magpie sighed and flew away. As days passed, more animals came and went. A squirrel told Olden he was missing out on acorns. A frog said the pond was livelier at night on the far side. A fox once even teased him for being so slow, saying he might grow roots if he stayed in one place too long. Olden listened politely to all of them, nodded now and then, and went back to chewing his leaves. He didn't argue or boast. He didn't envy their excitement. He simply stayed where he was. One summer, the sun burned hotter than anyone remembered. The pond dried almost to its bottom, and the grass turned crisp. Many of the animals left the meadow to find better feeding grounds. The rabbit went to the hills. The magpie flew to a forest far away. Even the frog disappeared, leaving only faint tracks in the mud. Olden stayed. He didn't move fast enough to travel far, and truthfully, he didn't wish to. He made his burrow a little deeper to reach cooler soil, gathered what dry plants he could, and waited. Weeks went by. The heat pressed down, but Olden endured. He was used to moving slowly and needing little. His shell protected him from the burning air. His burrow kept him safe when the ground cracked and split under the sun. When finally the rain returned, soft at first and then heavy, the meadow turned green again. Shoots of grass poked up through the dusty soil, and the pond slowly filled. One by one, the animals returned thin, tired, and hungry. Lively, the rabbit hopped by again, his fur patchy. "Olden," he called. "You stayed here all summer? I thought you'd be gone, or worse." "I stayed," said Olden. "There was nowhere I needed to go," the rabbit sniffed. "I went to the hills. It was fine for a while, but then there was no food there either. I came back when it rained." Olden nodded. "Sometimes it is enough to stay where one can endure." The magpie flew overhead and landed nearby. "You're still here, old tortoise. I thought the heat would have driven you out." "It was hot," Olden admitted, "but my burrow was cool enough." The magpie tilted her head. "You're tougher than you look." "I am only practiced in waiting," said Olden. As the days passed, the meadow filled with life again. The animals who had left were busy rebuilding their nests and searching for food. Olden went on as before, slowly, quietly, and patiently. One evening, the fox who had teased him long ago came by, looking thinner and weaker than before. He sat beside Olden without saying much for a while. Finally, he said, "You were wise not to wander. I thought speed and cleverness would keep me safe, but they only took me far from food and shade." Olden looked at him. "Each of us has our way," he said. "Yours is to move swiftly. Mine is to wait. Sometimes waiting wins." The fox nodded. He didn't tease again. As seasons passed, Olden grew older and slower still, but he didn't mind. He had seen the meadow through droughts and rains, through times of plenty and scarcity. He had no trophies, no adventures, and no tales to tell. But he had something small and steady, a quiet life that fit him perfectly. When young animals came asking for stories, Olden didn't have exciting ones. He would tell them how the grass changed color, how the pond filled and emptied, how the wind shifted from east to west before a storm. They didn't listen long, because such things seemed boring. Yet one or two would stay and realize something, that Olden's stories, while slow and plain, were true. He never told them to be like him. He only said, "Find your own pace, but don't rush where patience would serve better." And when another long, dry summer came years later, those few who had listened remembered his words. They dug deeper burrows, stayed calm, and waited. They survived. The others who hurried elsewhere did not always return. Olden never claimed to be clever. He never tried to lead. He only lived as he always had, unremarkably, steadily, and in peace. The meadow changed around him, but he remained the same small shell of quiet endurance beneath the same old tree. Moral: quiet strength and steady patience may seem dull, but they often outlast excitement and haste. Not every wise life is